Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is the CEO of the Seychelles Investment Board and Rosette. Lovely to have you all the way from beautiful Seychelles. What a privilege. I'm just going to start by introducing the Seychelles Investment Board. So the Seychelles Investment Board's role is to promote and facilitate local and foreign investments with a vision for Seychelles to be a globally diversified investment center. So the SIB promotes local and foreign investments into Seychelles and is on a mission to offer first-class services to attract and retain investments, work in close collaboration with key stakeholders to stimulate, identify and facilitate investments and extensively contribute towards the development of an investor-friendly business environment in Seychelles.
That's a long one, isn't it?
It is a long one, but it's amazing. It's really, you guys are doing a great job. So I think my first question would be, how would you describe Seychelles as a unique investment destination compared to other countries in the world?
Well, Seychelles has a unique combination of very good attributes, I would say. Its beauty, for instance. Let's talk about that, right?
Oh my God.
We are a country which is politically stable. Democracy and transition of power is done peacefully. We are strategically, geographically situated in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And we are a hub for trade for Africa, Asia, or even Europe. And also we have an established tourism sector and a fisheries sector.
I think most of us know about that. Yes. It's amazing.
And we are now looking at opportunities for investment to create value addition in these sectors.
Absolutely. I know that, so I was doing some research. I know that you're putting in a lot of efforts after COVID to diversify your economy. So what sectors are currently attracting the most foreign direct investment into Seychelles at the minute?
Well, tourism, obviously. We're just talking about that. And then, obviously, we have the financial services sector, the fisheries sector. They are the key contributors to FDI in Seychelles. The hospitality industry continues to strive. And like we're saying, after COVID, we are looking at diversifying, looking in terms of other value-added creation that we can do in this sector. For example, in arts and crafts, in experience tourism locally, also in sports tourism, activities, initiatives that can be done in Seychelles. You not only come to Seychelles to stay in a hotel or experience the beach and the sea, but also to participate in activities and events that can make you do the
really
distance
open up the economy,
to come and enjoy it in the country, and where you can spend as much to the economy directly into the economy. We're looking at adding value in the fisheries sector through aquaculture. Because yes, we have the longliners and the industrial fishing in our waters, which is taking place. This is directly going to export. But what about value creation
activities?
Activities which create more value jobs and more value products. And this is where we have launched the aquaculture sector as one of the emerging sectors in Seychelles. We did a study. We started out in 2022 doing a study around sustainable development. As a small economy, and as a country with not so much resource, except for our vast ocean, obviously, and our beauty.
We're going to talk about that.
But we got to manage and develop that in a sustainable manner. So we did what we call the SDG investor map. We created that tool to enable investors to be directed in the sectors where we as a country would like to see investment.
That's amazing because I think most investors will want to know today that they're investing into sustainable development projects, and that's what you're really focused on. Are there any government incentives for environmentally friendly or sustainable projects investors can invest in Seychelles?
Yes, currently, as I was explaining previously, we have identified 5 sectors where it's key for investment to come in. We want to drive investment in. One of the sectors is renewable energy. and waste management, obviously. And then we do have the agro, industry sector, the services sector, which includes tourism and a bit of agriculture as well, food, food and beverage. And then we do have the fisheries sector, where we're looking at creating innovative kind of apps for fishers to sell their catch or to trade on. Telecommunications and ICT, very important in this age where we're saying we want to move the country on its digitalization path towards the future age. So very important. So all of these are sectors which are actually aligned to our national development goals and opportunities. So in terms of incentives in renewable energy, there's these incentives for domestic people to actually get soft loans to buy appliances which are more in the renewable energy sector, and also for SMEs to develop their businesses or create services and products which are more aligned to the agenda of the renewable energy.
Excellent. So is that the Seychelles Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Program?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
You can actually get loans, soft loans of up to 6,000 or 7,000 US dollars. Yes, it's really been ongoing, and people have really been getting on board with it. And we have one of the most ambitious PV system, photovoltaic system being implemented through a PPP. It's already passed, I think, the contracts. So now it's going to be going to implementation. So we are doing a lot to, as a small country, we need to manage the energy that we use if we want to reach the adaptation and the mitigation targets that we've given ourselves. But at the same time, we need to manage our waste as well. Waste is one big one, where government is planning to put forward some private sector PPPs with the private sector to ensure that we are garnering all the support that we need to get to that.
I think there's going to be loads of opportunities for public-private partnerships because I can see that, so you have a 100% renewable energy strategy. You want to achieve full decarbonization of energy by 2050. So there's a lot of activity in that sector, and I think it's a no-brainer because you're right in the middle of the ocean, and there's a lot to do in that regard. I can see. Okay, tell us more about the agricultural sector. So I was quite excited about this because it says that 60% of the agricultural land remains currently underutilized, and you're also looking at this as a very serious sector to
we're small, even though there are land which is underutilized. I think for us to think about agriculture in the traditional way, we are past that now. And that's where innovation is going to help us to move into the next aspect of agriculture, right? The tech kind of agriculture, agri-tech, and also where we can encourage young entrepreneurs to move into this sector, because they don't want to do what their grandfathers were doing, just be building from the ground, growing from the ground. They want to grow intelligently, smart, and obviously which is going to meet their return of investment. And doing things the ways that we were doing in the past is not going to be sustainable. And also, because of this sustainable being key and being the center of all the development that we are looking at, we've got to think about how we're going to best utilize the spaces that we have to maximize the profits that we want to get. We know we got to have some kind of self-sufficiency in food, but also we've got to find where are the areas that we can maximize on, and what are the other areas where we can get trade within the region, trade with our regional partners, rather than us trying to achieve everything on our own.
I totally agree with that, because I think today the technology is abundantly available for agriculture, and you can do more with less. So I think now you've mentioned it, I'd like to encourage you to talk about you were talking about an approach, of course, off camera to encourage young people in terms of these entrepreneurial consortiums that they could create, because listening to you talk about the opportunities in these sectors, they might be thinking, where do I start from as a young person?
Yeah, I think it's about obviously capacity building and education, and also change of mindset. There's been this idea that for us to do something, we always have to get into debt, right? For us to start a business, for us to do something. Yes, debt is a support. Is a means to actually financing your activity. But most of the time, you can garner support and sponsors if your idea and what you want to do is attractive to people that you want to talk to about. And I think what's lacking is this kind of I can do it, and I can get people with similar kind of mind than me to get it done. And most of the time, just talking to a banker, they don't see your energy, they don't see your passion, they don't see your capacity as a person. All they're looking at is Excel spreadsheets, your projections, your sales, your return on investment, if you have the right documentation or not. But people with like-minded kind of the same thoughts that you have, they are prepared to risk it with you. So I think a lot of people need to think about, let's get people who are thinking like me in a group where I can get financing. I have 10% stake, somebody else might have 20% stake, and they are prepared to go along with me because they see me, they see what I want to do, they see what I want to bring, they see the solution which I'm bringing to the problem. Institutions are looking at their bottom line and are looking at their return, and they are looking at your risk and assessing it. We need to be more savvy when we're trying to get into the business world. Also in partnerships, agriculture in Seychelles is a reserve sector. Like it's mainly in tertiary agriculture that you can have non-Seychellois getting into the sector. But it doesn't mean that for certain kind of activities you can have partnerships. You can build partnerships with co-funders, with other people who are prepared to give you support around equipment, or around other things, resources, capacity, technicalities to build the activity that you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I will definitely like to talk about all the sectors. So I was just having a look, and you're also looking at developing the services sector. So you've got a vision for 2033, which aims to strengthen the tourism sector by managing the environmental impact and supporting the mainstream of sustainability practices into business operations and diversifying beyond its traditional sand, sea, and sun offerings. Can you tell us more about what's happening in the services sector?
Yeah, the services sector is actually, we're looking at quality. Quality, right? We are a small country. Yes, tourism is key for us. It's important. But also we got to grow the value. What it's bringing into the country. And we are actually limited by the bed capacity that a country has because of the spaces and because of the impact that it can have also on our environment. But how about other activities that we haven't really indulged into? Okay, I touched a bit at the beginning in terms of events, that would bring tourists to the country. Exploring also other ways to mitigate the bed limitations. What about there is a project at the moment. The tourism department is looking at cruise. Looking at the cruise sector.
Okay.
But there's always this yin and yang in the cruise sector. You're looking at the impact on the environment as well, because you have a lot of people at the same time in the same place and that. But these have got to be balanced. I mean, we cannot say we cannot do something, because we've got to see how do we mitigate these factors. And also in the hotels, we're looking at circular economy. How do there is most hotels, they have to have practices in place which demonstrate that they are doing things sustainably. For how do they manage water? How do they manage their waste? How do they reuse in their establishments? But that also is a winning point for them, because most of the tourists, they are traveling to Seychelles. They're thinking about their carbon footprint because we're quite far off. So they would like to see where they land. There is this, mindset of how are we managing the environment and the impact that we have on the environment.
No, I think that there's so much potential there, because you have an established tourism sector, and any other innovation on that would just be absolutely amazing. One of the other services which you've alluded to, which would be growing, is financial services in Seychelles. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the financial services has always been since its introduction one of the big FDI for the country. It has gone through a lot of reform recently because of the AML AFCT Act. There's been changes with the aim of actually making the sector more resilient, more compliant, and actually safe, for your investment. And now we're embarking on a very focused program of growing that sector and actually bringing in the kind of investment which is good for the country and for the economy, and which is not risky for us as well. We are here in UK this weekend, going into the AFSIC summit, which is about that, which is the financial sector, and we're going to be talking about that sector in the SIT zone as well, the free trade zone, how we can grow that sector for export. And that would support our SMEs, our local value creation.
Okay, so tell us more about the infrastructure. So I can see that you're making investments into cold storage infrastructure. Yeah, what are the opportunities in that market?
In infrastructure, yes, you're quite right. We're looking at building in that sector. This is also to support our fisheries sector, because the fresher our fish gets out there, the more value it has. And we can do better things today with the standards can be higher and support the local economy, obviously. But this can help us also maintain the value addition that needs to be done with our fishes when it's caught from the ocean. But not only in that, we're looking at also growing the infrastructure in terms of the local infrastructure. There are some PPPs now that government has supported with made land available for private sector to get into and build the city. Like, for example, in Victoria, we're building the Victoria waterfront. It's been a massive project, and this is going to be awarded pretty soon, where those who have won the award will be able to, support the development of the Victoria area. We have done so on the other second main island, which is Prala, with the redevelopment of a port, passenger terminal in the port area, and commercial activities around those, to bring more commercial activities in these areas and create a hub, create a buzz around town cities, yes.
Okay, so I would definitely want you to give some comments about the value chain. So there's a lot of fisheries, but as we were talking about it before, you need to be able to move from just fishing to kind of creating canned, products, for example, that you can export to other markets. Is that something that, is a challenge in Seychelles? And what are you doing to be able to leverage that so that you can take advantage of the whole value chain?
It is a sector that's very supportive of the economy. Currently, we have one of the largest, tuna factory in Seychelles. It's tuna canning, and obviously it exports tuna as well. However, in terms of job value for Seychelles, the industrial policy that we launched last year, look at creating value jobs for Seychelles. We have a lot of foreigners in this sector, but how do we encourage our Seychelles to find the job attractive and appealing for them? And obviously to create, for our money to stay in the country. Because when you have more foreign workers, obviously there are our money is going external to the country, it's not really staying. Although they do contribute to because they buy food, they use services, they use utilities, so they're contributing to the economy. They pay taxes, but at the same time, also this could be an enhancement to the local to the economy by creating value for the locals.
Okay, so let's just look at Seychelles in terms of politics. Of course, when investors are looking at the market, they think about the political stability. Are there any political risks that might affect investors?
Well, Seychelles is very stable.
Okay.
We are a country where anybody can enter into business activity as long as it's a legal activity.
Yeah, we want it to be legal. Yeah.
Yes, and your investments are protected. I mean, you invest, even if you're non-Seychelles, if you invest, you're free to remove your investment when you want. There's no barriers to that. But also, we're a country where people are friendly.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. The culture is amazing.
The culture is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really safe.
Okay.
There are obviously, how can I say that?
There will always be challenges.
Everywhere, there will always be challenges. But as a country, it's pretty safe.
Okay.
And we are very stable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay. Just to scale out a bit, the African Continental Free Trade Area is going to be a game changer for the African continent. And Seychelles was one of the 44 African nations to sign the AFCFTA agreement in Kigali on March the 21st, 2018. Can you tell us more about how this represents an opportunity for Seychelles?
Obviously, a regional trade. We've been trading with other parts of the world. We can see our imports to other part of the world is big, is massive, but to Africa, it's not that as what we would want it to be. So I think with this framework and with this structure, there is an opportunity for cross-border trade with our regional partners. And as we aligned our investment policies, standards, it makes it much easier for us to have this trade with each other.
Yes,
obviously, and benefit from what you're good at and what I'm good at.
Absolutely.
And exchange. There's a lot of potential in Africa. We've started this year in the financial services sector, actually.
Okay.
We did our roadshow in South Africa.
Oh, nice.
In June,
Okay.
the first roadshow, because we would like to penetrate that market. And it was a success. And actually, we're doing it. We're coming here in London to actually enforce on that.
Oh, when is that?
On Tuesday, we're doing a presentation at
okay.
AFSIC.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about
interesting.
that.
Yeah, okay.
So these are part of our promotional programs that we are doing, where we are going, really aggressively behind these sectors that we've identified. Earlier on, we were talking about.
Yeah, so people need to keep an eye out for this because it's going to be big.
We are taking it bit by bit, sector by sector, and we are going and promoting those in areas where we do need people to be focused.
Brilliant. So one of the aspects that I personally want to push is the participation of the African diaspora. Okay, and so the Africa Export-Import Bank launched Global Africa, which in my opinion, is a fantastic structure that can make the African diaspora contribute to, the African continent. What would you say to the African diaspora, and what do you think about Global Africa?
I think that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
If we want to be better on the continent and around the continent, there needs to be a game changer. around the way that we do things. Seychelles launched its diaspora policy this year.
Okay. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Well, it was some time. It took some time to do the research, to get the consultations together, which we as SIB has been part of, and it got launched I think last month, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you can Google a bit about it and
will,
find, and I can share some information with you. But we're interested. We know there is a quite big part of our people out there in the world
Yes.
who can contribute in terms of knowledge, in terms of wealth, contribute back to the country.
Absolutely.
And in, like you say, if not the country, but the region as well.
Yes.
Because, like I was saying, there are things that maybe Seychelles is very good at,
Yes.
but others in the continent might be good at something
Other
else.
things, yes.
And how can we, as a collective, then benefit from the best of each other?
Absolutely. So I think this is the ultimate question. So we've said a lot. It would be down to what advice you would like to give to a foreign investor considering entering the Seychelles market.
Wow. They have to bring something that they think we need. It would have to be, I would advise a win-win.
Okay.
I know you're an investor, you're looking at return on your investment. It's very normal. But what does Seychelles want? And what does Seychelles need? And I think they would go far if they can invest in what Seychelles need, because then you're not only building a business or an initiative that you have as an investor, which can last long, but you're also building the community.
Interesting.
You're also building the country.
Okay.
And when you're building the community and you're building the country, you're actually sustaining your business for a long time.
Interesting. That's incredible. Because if you align with the needs of the economy, it almost is impossible for you to fail.
Yes, because you'll be giving us what we need.
Yeah.
And you'll be forever in demand because that is what we need.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So on the back of that, I can ask you, what are your plans for the next 5 to 10 years? How does Seychelles plan to position itself in the global economy over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think this country is at a transformation stage.
Okay.
Seychelles, and I would like to see it achieve its or get very close to its national ambition. In terms of the plans that we want to do, we want to have a modernized public service. We want to have sustainable development. We want to be able to manage or mitigate all these environmental risk that is associated with a small country.
I see.
We want also to build our health system and our education system, because these are the base that's going to create a healthy nation, and a nation which will be able to really invest in itself and actually ask for good investment, because when people see that you're good, you have a very... It attracts. It's very attractive. So I think this is where I would like to... this is what Seychelles is looking at doing.
Well, thank you very much. There's a lot there, and I would be looking forward to people contacting you saying, I would like to invest into the sectors in Seychelles. We have a closing tradition on this podcast. We would like our guests to usually share one African proverb or saying that always inspires them to do great things in business or in life generally. What will yours be?
Wow. This one has stuck with me since I first heard it.
Okay.
And it was at a moment in my life when I was actually, you get into these transitional phases. And I was once listening to Maya Angelou.
Oh, I love Maya Angelou.
She was giving
Absolutely.
She was giving a talk or a speech to a school or college.
Okay.
In the United States, and at a very old age then, and she mentioned Publius Terentius from 150 BC.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually an African poet.
Okay.
And he said, "Humus sum,
Yeah.
humani nihil alium puto."
Is that Latin?
That's Latin.
Oh, wow.
And it means I am a human being. Nothing human is alien to me.
Wow. Say that again. I am
a human being. Nothing human is alien to me. And for me, this is a word full of force, because it actually, the word can't doesn't exist in that.
Right.
And the word I'm unable doesn't exist in that kind of statement.
Right.
And I find a lot of time I encounter people, entrepreneurs or business people, or even in ordinary life, I mean, youngsters, I mean, even family, or they are talking a lot of the can't and unable.
Right.
But human beings have been able to do a lot. We've made massive progress as humanity.
Yeah.
And all of this have been achieved because of human.
Yes.
And if we are to think we are unable, then it's a negative, because we're saying all this could not have happened.
That's absolutely true.
Where we are now
Like
could not have happened. All the innovation, all the development, all the ideas, all the thoughts,
people
and
have
everything.
Persevered through difficulty to do great things.
And every time I fly in a plane, I think of that, because can you imagine if the Wright brothers had not?
That is so true. I often think about that.
We will never be flying in.
There was a world without aeroplanes.
Yes.
Wow.
So even light.
Yes.
Without bulbs, electricity.
Thomas Edison. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of things you might fail several times at doing it, and that's probably where the can't always put us down.
Okay.
Unable to, but it's not impossible, and everything has come from an idea.
Okay.
Nothing, even the clothes you wear, the clothes I wear, what we are doing, everything we have here, this laptop, everything, it's come from an idea.
Absolutely.
And that's the human brain.
Wow. Incredible. Use your brain more.
Yes.
It can do great things. I want to thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It's such a great privilege, and I look forward to another, episode with you.
Yeah.
It was great chatting with you. Thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you, Dr. Sita. It's been an immense pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.